Spotlight on DACC. I'm Mike Irvin, your host. This program, we're going to take a closer look at a very important part of Danville Area Community College, one that affects most of you in the public who are not regular students here at DACC, and that is our program of continuing education. It's a great opportunity for many of you to take advantage of some specialized programs that might fit your interests or your hobbies, something of that nature, and we want to highlight a few things that are coming up and tell you a little bit more about continuing education. I have with me Jan Bennett, our office specialist for continuing education. I assume that means you help coordinate some of this activity. Is that right?
Absolutely.
You have a big part in getting these things organized and determining what's available. Tell us a little bit about continuing education. Who are we trying to reach with this kind of program?
In the Department of Continuing Education, we're trying to reach those people that have personal interest in personal enrichment classes, hobby classes, occupational skills. These are all non-credit classes except for the food service sanitation course.
I see. So you're coming out kind of for the fun of it?
Absolutely.
Is that what it is?
Absolutely.
Continuing education is, in this sense, is for the fun of learning how to do something that maybe you wouldn't otherwise get to do. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now, where, Jan, do the instructors come for these different programs? How do we find those people?
Well, they're either recommended to us or there are instructors that have taught many years. For instance, Joan Griffiths has taught the genealogy class, and Joan Janeski has also taught the deaf sign language class for many, many years. We also try to reach people by advertising in the paper for instructors, and basically that's...
Is there any educational qualifications to be an instructor in continuing ed, or is it just you really know a lot about something that's like a hobby or something?
Depending on the subject matter. It would be nice to have someone with qualifications, but if they have a lot of experience and it's just something simple,
right,
that's not necessary.
I see. I didn't know if you can get a degree in like genealogy. Maybe you can. I don't know, but I would suspect that'd be something that you would just pick up
right,
kind of on your own over years of experience. I would
exactly
suspect. Okay. You have programs that go on pretty much throughout the whole year. Is that right? Including summertime as well as fall and
yes,
spring, a regular academic year. Okay. What do you have currently going on that the public might be interested in, like, say, from now through the holidays?
Okay, we have a biblical history class that is coming up. All the classes that we have are October and November. We have floral design classes, and the instructor that is teaching that was a student of Alice Drees, who was a longtime instructor who has since retired.
And actually started the ornamental horticulture department,
yes,
I understand.
Yes, she did. We have a great books class, which is about the Western civilization and is composed of an ongoing conversation among the great thinkers throughout history.
I notice I'm not included in that number, so...
Right, exactly.
You didn't have to agree, Jan.
Oh, well. We have a faux finishing class, which is actually wall painting techniques, which is very, very popular
really?
At this time.
Is that right? I guess I see that on different things on television, on the cable channels, people decorating now,
yes,
using those kind of new styles, and I'm sure there would be some interest there. What else have you got that's going on?
We have a class called All About Tea. Lily Kagawa, who is one of the liberal arts instructors, is going to teach us all about the different types of tea, the preparation, history and culture in the East and the West.
I hate to keep interrupting, but I understand also that tea is a big popular thing now. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
So no wonder. Well, you guys are right on the cutting edge, aren't you, of educational
We
programs.
try. We
That's
certainly do. And I would like to mention at this time that we would like to have instructors, people that are experienced or that are degreed, call us and give us their ideas or hopefully offer to teach. We're open for new ideas and concepts.
Do you also take ideas from the public?
Yes, we do.
They call in and say, we'd really like this?
Oh, absolutely.
I see.
That's very important.
Okay, well, we'll give a phone number pretty soon, so if somebody does have a thought, and I'm sure that there are people in the community who have some maybe unusual hobbies or something else, that they might give you a call.
Right. We're searching for what the community wants and needs because, after all, that's what we're here for, to serve the community.
Sure. Okay, Jen, keep going. Tell me what else we got going on this fall.
Okay, I would like to
programs.
especially mention that we have Saturday specials for kids only. We are trying to promote the idea of having College for Kids programs year-round, and we have a few offerings out there. We're just finishing a computer keyboarding class for children, and we have a study skills workshop that's coming up, and also puzzles for the math smarties.
Oh, is that right?
So, yes.
You know, this is really a great idea because the College for Kids program throughout the summer is so successful and so well attended, and you guys do a great job of putting that together. To carry it over on Saturdays is really a nice idea.
Yes, it certainly is. And again, we need more and more new ideas.
Sure. Okay, what else have you going? I noticed, well, we talked about faux finishes and tea and biblical history, and I noticed something on here about bookbinding. Is that?
Yes. We have an instructor from the Hoopeston area who is a degreed instructor in the arts, and she has taught several classes for us in the past, and she's also doing this bookbinding and paper making. They create an actual sheet of paper.
You can actually do that.
Yes. And create from that a Japanese four-hole bound book. And they will also learn traditional English binding and make an accordion book.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure there are people out there that are just really interested in that kind of thing. It's not something you pick all out of a book. I guess no pun there, but not a thing you would just say, boy, I'd really like to jump in there. But there are some people, I guess, that would just like to do new things and try new opportunities. I see a good one in here, it looks like, for this time of year as we're getting ready for Thanksgiving and Christmas with floral holiday crafts.
Yes, that instructor is local, and she is doing one right now that is a table runner for the holidays, and this one is later on.
Okay.
Actually, it's not that much later on. It's October 2nd. Start date for that class.
Okay. What else have you got, Jan? Have we got covered about everything that's coming up for the rest of the...
For the rest of the semester.
Did we talk about holiday quilting? Yeah, that would be fun.
That's the one that is coming up, that is ongoing.
Oh, okay. Well, you've got some great programs here. Now, tell me a little bit about the length of time that most of these classes meet. How often during the week and how many weeks and so on?
Each class is different. The biblical history class is approximately 6 weeks in length. Most of the craft classes are 4 to 6 weeks. Sometimes we have 2-week classes. The children's Saturday specials are 4 weeks.
I see.
And just depending, on the curriculum of the class, usually determines the length.
Where do most of your classes meet, Jan? Are they here on campus?
On
or are
campus.
They out? Okay.
On campus.
Do we take classes to the people, maybe particularly in outlying communities? Do we do a continuing ed there?
We do somewhat. We would certainly be, willing to do that. If people would like to talk and discuss that with our office, we'd be more than happy to work with them and plan
So if we
something.
had a few people in the Hoopeston area, for instance, that were interested in a particular class, we would be willing to take it up to them. Okay.
Definitely.
Great. Now, let's talk a little bit about cost for the individual. What does it cost to be involved in a continuing education course?
Generally, it would be hard to actually give you the exact cost. I would say $30, $40, depending on the length of the class, and of course, if there were supplies involved for the class. The biblical history class, I believe, is $42. That's 6 weeks in length. There's a lot of determining factors for cost.
Jen, tell me about the cost for continuing ed programs and what people have to be aware of when they get ready to register.
The cost varies from class to class, depending on the length of course and if there are supplies required for that particular class. I would say anywhere from $15 to $42, depending, of course, on what I had just mentioned.
I see. So the classes that involve crafts or the quilting or the faux finishes maybe would cost a little bit more based on the supplies that they have to use.
The length is a real determining factor. I know the upholstery class is $65 and others are...
Right. Jan, one of the questions that I know I've heard from other people and even in our office, what happens if you don't have enough sign up, or how many does it take to have a class to make it actually go?
I would say 7 to 10.
Okay.
And we try not to cancel if we can help it. Unfortunately, we'll have 3 or 4 people enroll, and those 3 or 4 people will want that class very much, and we'll have to call them in.
Right. Okay. So if you've got 7 to 10, we're pretty much assured that the class is going to fly, so to speak.
That's pretty safe.
Good. Well, I know I started taking a continuing ed class once, and we all got there the first night, and they looked around and said, sorry, it's just not enough. And I can understand that. They have certain expenses they have to meet. So in any case, we've talked about the classes that are going on here, continuing ed, actual real classes where we have classroom, but you're also involved in some other things as well in the continuing education department. And the reason I know this is because I've seen some of my elderly friends out here at the college. They're registering to go on a trip or a tour. And,
Trips and tours.
and when you put those out in the paper or in our publications, and we see all the wonderful places you're going, I would suspect that those fill up pretty quick. Tell us a little bit about where you've been or where you're going with those, and how many people it takes to make a trip worthwhile.
It takes quite a few people to make a trip.
Sure.
I think sometimes people are upset with us because they think the price of the trip is too high, and what they don't realize is the cost of the bus is very high. The last Christmas trip I believe we took was over to Purdue, and the price for, I believe, one bus was $900.
I see.
So when you take 2 buses full of people, that's pretty pricey.
Right.
So we haven't anything planned at this time for the fall or winter, but we hope to have a sort of a Christmas trip planned in the next few weeks.
I see. Where have you been? Give me some examples of places that you have been, say, in the past year or two. I've seen some pretty interesting things come across my desk.
We went to Chicago to the flower show year before last, I believe, and that was really great.
I'm sure it was.
Last year we went to the Cincinnati flower show. Totally different concept in the type of show. We have been to, so many different places.
I'm sure. I see that you attend a lot of events that would be of interest to people who may have been involved in a continuing ed class. I look at the flower show and I see, we have a corresponding class kind of.
We definitely
that goes with
try
that.
to correlate that.
Right.
Not to change the subject on trips and tours, but we have been planning already for the 16th annual Lawn and Garden Workshop.
Oh, okay.
Which is going to be March 7th of 1998.
Oh, so you've got that already planned.
Yes.
Well, that's good. Where's that take place, Jen?
On our campus in the Bremer Conference Center and Theater.
Okay.
And it's a very successful program, and it seems to grow every year.
Well, since we probably won't be talking on this show between now and then about that, it's good to have that information ahead. So you're going to have, it's a Saturday?
That's correct.
And they'll come out here in the early spring, or actually still winter in March,
right.
Isn't it?
Right.
But they're getting prepared then for lawn care and other things that are coming up in the spring. I know that's been very, very popular and very successful as people have talked about the tips they've received from our experts right here on campus on lawn care.
That's right.
Well, back to trips and tours real quickly.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm glad we digressed because that did fit in. So right now, the next thing that you think you may have coming up would be something around Christmas time. How will people know about that? How do you publicize those things?
We will be sending flyers to an established database that we have.
That's good.
I would like to invite those people who would like to receive a brochure about our trips and tours to call us at the number you're going to be showing later.
Okay.
And any other information they would like on our course descriptions.
Okay.
Or activities for the fall.
Okay, I would assume then you've got a database of people that have been involved in classes and they already receive things.
That's correct.
So then you would send something out to them. What is the phone number, Jan? How do they get in touch with you?
It's area 217-443-8778.
8778. And then that rings, I think, about right on your desk, doesn't
Yes.
it?
Many times a day.
Right, I bet. And you'll send them out a brochure.
Yes.
And talk to them a little bit about what's going on in continuing education, plus trips and tours. Real quickly, do the trips and tours vary in price?
Oh, yes.
I bet.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jan Bennett, the Office Specialist for Continuing Education, we appreciate your being here, talking to us about continuing education, particularly trips and tours. I know many people really enjoy that. Well, this is Mike Irvin. Thank you for joining us on Spotlight on DACC. We appreciate the time that you've spent, and we hope that you'll stay tuned. We've got another program coming up for you in just a moment. We've been talking continuing ed here at Danville Area Community College. In just a moment, we're going to talk about another exciting program here at your Danville Area Community College.
Seems like technology has passed me by. I don't think I can ever catch up. Think again.
I'm a working parent. I don't think I have time for classes.
Think again.
On my budget, I really don't think school is an option.
Think again.
Who am I kidding? My chance to go to college has slipped away.
Think again. Think DACC.
Hi, I'm Ron Kruger, head men's basketball coach for the University of Illinois. The way our team excels on the court and the way all students can excel in school is by starting each day with a well-balanced breakfast. Whether you need the muscle power to slam dunk or the brain power to survive math, you'll get it by starting each day the only way. Our team knows it, and you should too. Excellence begins with breakfast.
Welcome back to Spotlight on DACC. Once again, I'm Mike Irvin, your host, and we're going to take a look at a very special and unique program at Danville Area Community College because it helps a special and unique group of students. I have with me the coordinator of Special Populations, we call it, Karen Davis. Welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Special Populations, tell us a little bit about that, Karen. What's that involve, and who are we dealing with in that group of individuals?
Okay. Special Populations is basically the name of a grant, and it defines the students that are eligible to be participants in it. So this population includes students who are economically disadvantaged, students who are academically disadvantaged, students with disabilities, and non-traditional students. And then we serve, basically what we do is provide support services to those students in one way or another.
Okay. So you economically disadvantaged, you said.
Right.
Academically, and then the ones with physical disabilities.
Right, students with disabilities.
Okay. You are located, of course, in Building 8, and students can come in and just see you. How do they find out about you?
Okay. Well, basically, we try to advertise as much as possible. Probably the biggest thing that we are known for is the tutoring center. That's probably the largest population that takes advantage of our services are the students who are fall into the category academically disadvantaged, even though they may not know that's the category they are called.
Right.
But they come in for tutoring assistance.
Okay. Who are your tutors? You got to have tutors, I guess.
Right. Our tutors are, most of them are peers, which are our students here on campus, and we do have some professional tutors. This semester, we have 6 professional tutors, which basically are people who have degrees, okay?
Oh, okay?
And we have found that most of them are also part-time instructors here on campus.
I see. Okay. How does the tutoring system work when a student comes in and do you have for specific courses that they're taking, or do you just have a tutor that can help them work through just about anything? Are they assigned a special tutor for all subjects, or is it somebody for one particular course?
Okay. Basically what happens is students are signed off by instructors to tutor, and as the students come in and need a tutor, they will identify for us on a form that's called the request what classes they need help in. Then what we do is contact instructors in those areas and ask them to recommend students. Most of the instructors like to use students who have had their class before, so that is usually our preference, is to try to get a student who's done it.
Okay. How do they do the tutoring as far as working out the arrangements? Is that between the student and the tutor, and they do it on campus or off campus? How does that usually work?
Okay. They come in and we have them fill out a form where they identify times that they can meet with a tutor. Mm-hmm. And then we also have the tutors fill out an application where they identify times that they are available.
Okay.
And what my office assistant, Christine, does is match those up, and then she will contact the tutor and the tutee and let them know that you have been scheduled or set up, say, for Mondays at 10:30, and they meet every week at that same time.
I see. Okay. Now, does this cost for the students, those being tutored? And
Right. No, there's no cost to the students. Matter of fact, all of our services are free to the students. Now, we pay the tutors through the grants that we have. We are basically funded through 2 grants, a federal grant and a state grant. And they provide the money for the tutors and all other services. So the students don't have to pay anything. It's free to them.
Okay, so they can get free tutoring, and that's I'm sure is a big advantage to a student that's in real need, isn't it? Yeah, and I know that some of those courses can be pretty tough.
Yes.
And they need the extra help. When you mention economically disadvantaged, how do you help those students who are financially having some trouble?
Okay. Usually the biggest assistance that we give in that area is probably bus tickets or mileage for students. And usually it's something that we can do. We can't do on a regular basis, like every week provided for them. But the way we've kind of worked out a system with the bus tickets is like we provide them for a 2-week span, and then they're responsible for the next 2 weeks. But they do have to meet guidelines in order to be eligible for it. Like if they are a Pell Grant recipient, they are automatically considered in that category. Okay. And that's usually what we use kind of as a basis.
So that's your that's how you get income information, I guess, is from their financial aid papers and that kind of thing to see if they qualify. Let's talk a little bit about those who are physically disabled, because your guest here we have is a Spectrum, Mr. Spectrum here, that helps those who are visually impaired.
Right.
And then you have something for those who have a hearing impairment. Tell us a little bit about those who have some visual challenges on campus, and how many students do we work with in that fit that category?
Okay. This semester we basically have about 3 or 4 students who come in on a regular basis for assistance because of their visual impairment or physical impairment. And usually we try to have equipment needs, and that's basically what the Spectrum here is used for. We have one student who uses it on a regular basis where he can take his tests independently.
Okay.
Because basically what it does is allow us to enlarge the material for him, and then he can sit down and basically be able to read it, and he just moves it just across.
Okay.
And then he just moves it up when he...
So he just takes it and it enlarges it on a screen so that he can see. Well, that's I'm sure a big advantage, so that he doesn't then have to have somebody read the exam.
Exactly. Right? And it gives them more independence.
Right.
You know, and that's kind of the big thing we try to stress with the students. Even though we're support services, we eventually would like to see them to become as independent as they can.
Right. Okay. So this is something that we've had for a while, or is this relatively new?
No, this has been on campus basically since I have started here. Now, this is a newer brand. We used to have an old black and white one, and you can do color with this also.
Okay. Our faculty members, do they have to do anything different for these students as far as getting test prepared, or is it just the standard exam they would give to any student, and they just bring it to you for to enlarge it?
Right,
okay.
Right, basically. And then there are some students, because they have learning disabilities, that they will also come to our area because they need extended time or because they need a test read, and we do that also.
Okay. Who would monitor the students then during their testing time? The faculty member, do they have to come over, or do you take that responsibility?
No, we take that responsibility. And I usually contact instructors. Matter of fact, we send them a note at the very beginning of the semester when students have told us that they will probably request extended time. We send them a notice and ask them to let us know like 3 days in advance, so that way we can look at our calendars and make sure we're going to be there. And if both myself and my assistant are gone, then we will usually schedule another time for another day.
Okay, so you've got those who are visually impaired pretty well, I guess, taken care of. They come to your office, and do you provide them, how do they take notes in class? I guess I wonder about that too. Are they able to do that?
Okay, some of them are, some of them are not, and we also have another service which we call note takers, and they are basically volunteers in the classroom, and we'll send a note to the instructor and ask for a student to volunteer as a note taker.
I see.
And then we provide them with the paper, and so therefore they, we're kind of saving them having to buy notebook paper, and they have to take notes themselves, so it has worked real well well. A year and a half ago, we did pay our note takers, but we were finding that budget was getting so large. We spent over half our monies on note takers in one semester. So we had always asked, would you be interested in volunteering? So for the last year, we've used volunteer note takers, and it still has been just as effective.
Is that right? So that works well for those who are visually impaired as well as, I guess, those who are hearing impaired too.
Sure, right.
Tell us about the hearing impaired students. How many of those do we have on campus that need some additional help?
Okay. We have several that are hearing impaired. We actually have 2 students who are deaf. And so this year we have 2 interpreters on campus. And this is actually the very first semester. So it's new for us, but it seems to be working real well. And the interpreters, of course, go to classes with them and interpret in the classroom situation. And then for the students who are hearing impaired, they usually will have note takers in their classes.
I see. Okay. Are we able to provide some kind of an assistance to those who are not completely deaf that can like make amplification products, I guess? We have so many electronic things on campus, you would think we'd have something like that.
We don't have that right now. That is something we're working on. Matter of fact, in a couple of weeks, our office, we're going to have a gentleman come in and going to do some training with us and show us some information on some adaptive devices, even for the computer.
Oh, I see.
Too.
Okay. You brought another friend with you, I guess, besides this one up here. You've got something else with you. What is that for hearing and for visually, or what's...
Okay. Well, this here is a talking calculator, and basically it's available, too, for the visually impaired students. So if, you know, a lot of times they will learn the sequences and know where the numbers and all the digits are. They'll learn that first, and then once they know that, when they're working on problems or whatever, they can, you know, just hit the numbers.
5 3 equals 75.
Oh,
okay, and it will give them the answer or the numbers. We also have another one, which is a scientific talking calculator. And we actually had one of the students use that last semester for his tech math class.
Well, I'm sure that's got to be a big help to many students, and be a big help to me when I'm trying to calculate. So I guess it's a real benefit to students, and it's just one more way that we're reaching out to meet the needs of students who have some special challenges in their life. Overall, Karen, your program works with about how many students?
Last year, we served 415 unduplicated students.
And unduplicated means?
That means that, you know, sometimes you serve students in the fall, and then you serve those same students in the spring. But this is... a total number was 415.
So different students,
Different students,
415. That's quite a number.
Right.
3 or 4, you say, are visually impaired. You have a few that are hearing impaired. The rest of them then must fall into the other categories. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have students with learning disabilities. We have students who have psychological problems that come and get assistance. And a lot of times they just need somebody to talk to sometimes. We do placement testing. We work with students who English is a second language. They come in and take a test through our office prior to taking the placement test to see if their oral language is, you know, if they're ready to go into the classes here on college, or maybe we would refer them to the adult ed program where they have English as a second language courses.
I see. Do most of your students, are they involved in 2-year programs, or do we have some that are involved in baccalaureate programs?
Yeah, I would say we probably have half and half.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got some students that will have to go on now. Do the bigger universities offer the same kind of services?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yes, they do.
So then once they leave here, we're not going to leave them high and dry, right?
No.
They'll have the opportunity then to get some assistance when they go to other places. Now, you're located in Building 8. How do people contact you if they need to have some special assistance, and what kind of a qualifying procedure do you go through when they do call?
Okay. Basically, they just need to call and let us know what their needs are. And the first thing we usually ask them to do is to come in and fill out our intake form. And our intake form basically is a real overall that gives us basically all the information we need, because we break it down into whether they fall into the academic, the economic, the non-traditional category. So once they fill that out, then we can go from there, and then they will usually fill out another form, whether it's a request for a tutor, a request for a note taker, a request for extended time, a request for bus tickets.
I see. Do you do a kind of a personal interview then with most of the students, or do you have the time to do that?
Well, once they come in, depending on what their request is. Now, usually with tutoring, like I said, we just give them the forms, we tell them how it works, we explain that it is real important that they be there for their tutoring sessions. They can lose that privilege if they don't show up and they don't call us. Because even though it's free to them, it still has to be paid for. And I think sometimes they forget that.
Right. That's
so we try to stress, you know, if you don't show up 2 times, we're going to contact you. We probably will give you a warning, but you can lose your privileges of having that tutor be there for you because they don't get paid if you don't show up.
Oh, is that right?
That's right.
Oh, okay. So they do have some responsibility of their own to take advantage of this once they've signed up for it.
Right.
So how do people get in contact with you, Karen, if they want to talk about getting some help?
Okay. They can come into Building 8, or they can just call us at 443-8853.
Okay. Now, if students, we're already, you know, a quarter of a way into the semester or whatever, is it still time? Can they still do it?
Yes, they can still come in.
Okay.
We encourage them if they still need help.
Okay. So if we got students on campus who are visually impaired, hearing impaired, just need some help,
Right.
then they can come in and see you, maybe just some counseling to get them through a tough time with some classes or whatever.
Right.
Well, you do a great service for the community
Well,
college.
thank
We're
you.
glad that you're here and glad that we're serving that group of individuals who just need some extra help. It's just one more way the college is meeting the needs of the community, and we appreciate what you do. Well, I'm Mike Irvin. I've been your host for this portion of Spotlight on DACC. We thank you for joining us. We've been talking about special populations here at DACC. So join us again as we take the spotlight and focus it on Danville Area Community College.